I work in the fitness and health industry, and because of this, I get a lot of questions about, of course, fitness, but also about nutrition. And one of the big beliefs that I'm faced with is the idea that any and all saturated fats are bad for us. Nothing could be further from the truth. Coconut oil, which is a predominantly saturated fat, also happens to be one of the healthiest oils we can consume, and this is true for a few reasons. The first reason is that it contains important saturated fatty acids. Now, namely, I'm talking about lauric acid, capric acid, and caprylic acid, and these are a group of medium-chain fatty acids, which I'll elaborate on shortly, that contain many antimicrobial properties. That is to say that they fight against and destroy many common viruses, bacteria, fungi, and parasites that can invade our bodies and cause us disease and illness. I want to share with you a quote from a really good book called The Coconut Oil Miracle by Bruce Fife regarding the healing applications of these medium-chain fatty acids that we find in coconut oil. Quote, laboratory tests have shown that the MCFAs found in coconut oil are effective in destroying viruses that cause influenza, measles, herpes, mononucleosis, hepatitis C, and AIDS, destroy bacteria that can cause stomach ulcers, throat infections, pneumonia, sinusitis, earache, rheumatic fever, dental cavities, food poisoning, urinary tract infections, meningitis, gonorrhea, and toxic shock syndrome, fungi and yeast that lead to ringworm, candida, and thrush, and parasites that can cause intestinal infections such as giardiasis. End quote. What this means to the everyday person concerned about their health is that coconut oil supports our immune system. And incorporating coconut oil into our diet takes stress off of the immune system and puts us in a better position to resist disease. Now, regardless of your health and wellness goals, everyone can benefit from foods that support our immune system. Another reason why coconut oil is good for us is because it contains medium-chain triglycerides that are digested and utilized very easily by our bodies. Now, I don't want you to get confused with the words that I'm using, but when I'm talking about triglycerides and fatty acids, I'm talking about the same thing. Triglycerides is just a stored form of fat. So whenever we eat fats, we're consuming triglycerides, and our body breaks them down into fatty acids. So we eat long-chain triglycerides, our body breaks them down into long-chain fatty acids. We eat medium-chain triglycerides, our body breaks them down into medium-chain fatty acids, but we're talking about the same thing. Now, LCTs is what we predominantly find in nature, and this is true because they provide the most efficient or compact energy package and thus make the best storage fats in both plants and animals. So the vast majority of fats that we eat are long-chain triglycerides. Now, this includes animal fats, vegetable oils, olive oil, as well as nuts and seeds. And LCTs is what makes up the body fat that we carry. Now, LCTs and MCTs are digested differently. LCTs require pancreatic enzymes and bile for digestion. MCTs don't, and instead are sent directly to the liver, where they're used predominantly for energy production and not body fat storage. This is a benefit in and of itself because it's easier on the digestive system for us to consume MCTs rather than LCTs. In addition to this, the more MCTs that we have inside of our body, the more likely it is that we're going to burn LCTs for energy. I want to share with you another quote from this book called The Coconut Oil Miracle by Bruce Fife regarding the differences between LCTs and MCTs. Quote, LCTs are like heavy wet logs that you put on a small campfire. Keep adding the logs and soon you have more logs than fire. MCTs are like rolled up newspaper soaked in gasoline. They not only burn brightly, but will burn up the wet logs as well. End quote. And this is a quote from Dr. Julian Whitaker. What this means for the everyday person is that coconut oil can be a beneficial tool to those interested in managing their weight and or losing weight. With all these great benefits to coconut oil, one might ask, how can I incorporate coconut oil into my diet? And my answer to you is to begin cooking exclusively with coconut oil. Coconut oil makes a good cooking oil because it's a saturated fat, and because of this, it maintains its molecular structure and stays stable under normal cooking temperatures. The opposite is true for vegetable oils and to a lesser degree, olive oil. One thing you want to pay attention to when cooking with coconut oil is to make sure your oil doesn't start smoking. If it does, that means it's beginning to oxidize and you're creating toxic byproducts and free radicals that you definitely don't want to consume. So always keep that in mind. If you're a little bit skeptical about the benefits of coconut oil, I would recommend taking a small amount, putting it onto your skin, your hands, your face, and your hair, and seeing what it does to your skin and hair. Once you start noticing positive changes, you might be more receptive to using coconut oil as a cooking oil and even ingesting it as a whole food. My take-home point for you is to not let this idea that saturated fats are bad for you prevent you from experimenting with coconut oil and receiving all these benefits that I'm talking about. That's the information that I wanted to pass along to you today. Take care of yourself, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.